Hello and welcome to Rolling with Reviews. I'm Will, and with me as always is the one I spy with my little eye,
Sarah.
And today we're doing a review of Vantage. Now if you're curious about our two-player perspective and accessibility, check out our other video, Rolling with Two, Vantage. Sarah, tell us a bit about this game.
All right. Vantage is an open-world, cooperative, non-campaign adventure game that features an entire planet to explore. You begin each game on a ship, heading towards an uncharted planet. After crashing far from your companions, you have complete freedom as to how you explore, discover, and interact with the planet. While there are missions and destinies, you may define success through anything you pursue and achieve. All right, Will, so why did we get this?
We're always interested in checking out the next Stonemaier game, and so when this one popped up on the radar and we're like, oh, it's a narrative experience, okay, we've had plenty of those.
So many.
But it was a non-campaign game.
Yeah, that made us pause for a moment.
I was like, what? What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Because every narrative experience that we run across board game-wise usually involves a campaign.
You have to play multiple times in a row to get the whole story.
Yeah. So, needless to say, we were very interested and wanted to check it out.
Yeah, I think the only thing else that made us pause was the fact that you are not supposed to share your vantage, your view with anyone else. And so because of Will's vision disabilities, we weren't so sure. But we saw that it played solo. And since we've played single-player video games for, well, most of our life together, we didn't think that would be too big of a problem. So that's why we still ended up buying it.
Yep.
Okay, so what do we like about the game?
The game always moves forward.
Oh, thank God, a game that doesn't stop you for rolling poorly.
Yeah, there's been so many games where it's like, okay, I have built myself up to be the ultimate dragon slayer.
Aha!
And I run across this dragon. He's going to be no match for I rolled terribly. And he just...
I stabbed myself in the foot.
Yeah. Apparently I am the dragon. I killed myself. Or it just, no, nothing happened.
Yeah.
Okay, next. What do you mean nothing happened? I rolled and I chose my action. Yeah, you didn't do that.
Yeah.
No, this is the case where if you choose something, you will do it.
Yep.
You will succeed at doing it. You will see what the consequences are for doing it.
Mm-hmm. And the interesting part is more about how you mitigate the dice that could be bad for you, and they actually help fuel your abilities.
Yes.
Because you can place them on your card. That's how you prevent the bad effects from happening, is if you have a slot on one of the cards around your character. You can sometimes get a benefit from doing it. Sometimes it's just, here's an open slot, it doesn't do anything, doesn't cost anything, but it's going to save you because this is the right action or something.
Other times you'll get a boost cube, and usually when that happens, you can spend boost cubes to do whatever the card says you can do.
Right.
Other times are very special, and you might heal.
Yes.
You might heal one of the 3 tracks that dictates how long your game is.
Usually the more specific a dice slot is, the better the effect. So if it's just you have to put a certain die face, but it can be any action, it's going to give you maybe a good thing. But if it's a specific like main action, then that could be something good. But if it's a very specific sub action, so like look has focus
or navigate
or something like that. So it's a navigate skill, then you can get usually something really good for that. So that is really cool that you're using the dice. So you do want to roll dice, but you also don't want to roll dice because if you can't manage them, then your tracks go down.
Yeah, and sometimes you want to roll a lot of dice because if you run out of dice in your dice pool, well then it refreshes, which then pulls all the dice off of your cards so you can use them again.
Exactly. And the interesting thing about it not being a campaign is it just feels more approachable for a narrative experience. Now, yes, playing this game more than once is going to deepen your experience of the game as you start putting together this world. But even if you just play it once, you get a story out of it. Even for the first time we played, and we failed miserably at everything. But we still had a story. Stuff still happened, and we still explored. So this is one of those great games that you could just say, like, if you have a game group, we're going to play this for the next X game nights. Doesn't matter who shows up.
Yeah.
Because anybody can jump in anytime.
And every story is going to be different.
Exactly.
Now, one of the ways they do this is another thing I like is they essentially have what I'd consider a keyhole system. In other words, you have this tiny little aperture that you can look out to see what's inside the room. But because it's so small, your vision is narrowed down to a small focus, which means you have a fairly large world, but because it has that narrowing aspect, you can only see little bits of it at a time, which means that every time you come at the game, even though you might even be at the same location, you will see something different. Because the second way keyholes is when it's time to do anything at a location, you can do one thing there.
Right.
And once you do that one thing, you can't do anything else there, meaning there's still a whole lot of content left on that card for the next time you might, and I say might, even find that location ever
Yes,
again.
that happened to us, I think, for one card.
Yes.
So we've played 3 times, and in 2 of the games, we actually came across the same card. But because we chose different actions each time, we went in completely different ways. Hilariously, the second time we came across it, we actually went the way I wanted to go the first time we came across that card, but we chose the wrong action. Well, wrong only being that I wanted to go in a particular direction, and the choice took us in a different direction. But even then, you still experience a story.
And it was also interesting because then we were like, oh, that's where the thing we were looking for is.
Yeah. But I've talked to somebody who said they've played this 16 times and they said very rarely come across the same stuff, the same cards, the same areas. So like even for us, because we came across the same card twice, we went in different directions. We chose different actions. So you still have a lot of replayability.
Yeah.
And the fact that the way you start randomizes you, even where you start, you will very unlikely ever be able to start in exactly the same spot. You may be close to the same spot, because obviously our second and third game were close to each other. But I feel like from our second game, we went a long way to get to that card that we started on in our third game.
Yes.
So, yeah, again, if you ever play this multiple times and you feel like, oh, you're getting close to something you've already done, well, you can just choose to go a different way. So you can also gear it so that you're not even going to see that card again, even though you only chose 1 of 6 actions. You still have 5 other ways to go.
Yeah. Or you start choosing those other actions and
Yes.
see what else is hidden inside the game.
Right, because then that would also deepen your experience and knowledge of that part of the world.
Yeah.
Okay, the fact that this encourages the fun and focusing on just having a good time, I think is really, really different, because I don't think we've ever come across another game that basically says you choose when to end, because you could set a time limit. Let's say you only have an hour to play, but you stop playing at the end of an hour. That you have goals, you have destinies, or was it missions and destinies? And so the only way it really defines in the game is that if you do succeed at a mission or a destiny or both, which would give you an epic conclusion, then you could choose to stop there and consider that a success.
Yes.
Or you could keep playing.
Yeah. And in fact, anytime you complete a mission or a destiny, it even tells you could choose to end here.
Right.
I'm like, nah, I still want to see what is over there.
Right.
That looks like a giant something or other.
And even when you fail, it gives you the opportunity of, you could stop here and just start over. Like our first game, everything was just going wrong. So we were like, yeah, I just don't want to deal with this experience anymore.
No, we did
We did one refresh.
Yeah, because they give you instructions on how to refresh.
Right.
And yeah, we refreshed. We were able to play a little bit longer. Failed again, and that time we were like,
Right.
no, we're done.
But the thing is, if you really did like what you were exploring and you had more time, you could keep refreshing, as far as I could tell, endlessly. There's nothing in here that says you have to fail. You have to stop playing.
It kind of suggests that you probably should, because it sounds like you're not having a very good experience.
Yes, but you don't have to.
The idea is that the rules that are in here are made to guide you to have the best narrative experience possible.
Exactly. And the fact that anything you do is interesting. I even found, like, I'm generally not an aggressive player. And so there are actions that one would consider, well, negative, like stealing or fighting or those kind of things. But even doing them, it had an interesting outcome. It didn't always turn out the way you thought it would turn out. Yeah,
you didn't always feel like the bad guy, even though you might have went in with the intention of being a bad guy.
Right.
No. It turns out something completely different.
Yep.
Like, oh, yep. Okay then.
And then lastly, there are a lot of books to go through in the box, but they did push through their web-based app that has all the rules that you can look up. Plus, you can access all the storybooks. I couldn't find at least the book of Vantages.
Yeah, that is going to be the spiral-bound book that comes in the box that covers all the maps that are in the world. That book is not there.
At least not that I could find.
Right.
So, if you're finding all the books too overwhelming, and or you don't like the fact that when you look, it's hard not to see the result, you can use the app, because when you pull up an entry, you'll type in, there's a section you can go, you type in the icon, then the number of the card. It will show you what your challenge is, and the result is kind of blurred out, so you can't see it. Now, granted, again, you will always get the result. The game never stops you from getting the result. It's just, it gives it so that you don't see it.
It paces you out.
Yes, it paces you out. And I also found that the icons and the text are larger. Well, if you're using an iPad, maybe the phone would be a bit small. But I was using my iPad, so it was larger sometimes than what was in the books printed. So that is good. Okay, I think that covers everything that we really like. What we don't like, what I just said, I don't like dealing with all the books. It's just a lot.
And I think the biggest problem is the fact that because my vision's the way it is, she was not only dealing with the books, but also pulling out all the cards. And there are a lot of cards.
Yes.
And a lot of books.
So they do recommend, when it's your turn, someone else should be dealing with the cards and someone else should be dealing with the books. I highly recommend that happens. So if you're playing a 2-player game, it's just going to be the other person. If you're playing more players, split it up and probably divide up the responsibility so that no one person feels overwhelmed by it. Just a general suggestion. We also found that some of the general rules just don't cover a lot of the nuances. So I know that they didn't want to spoil things, but there are times where something new got introduced and all you had was rules on a card, and it just didn't have enough detail for us to fully understand.
Yeah, which is very strange considering, like when you're done with the game, it says go to this book and read this section. Why didn't they have that for those particular cards?
They should have had a book of secret rules. They had a book of everything else, so they should have had a book of secret rules that you don't look at until you come across whatever this so there's little mini games, I guess is the best way to explain it, and they usually have a single card front and back that give you the rules. But again, it feels like everything got really crunched on there, and it would have just been better to say, hey, go to page 5, section 2 or whatever, or like it usually does, look up this card number, and just has the full rules, as much space as you need, and examples. Because there is a mini game in here that is, I don't want to explain too much, reoccurring, that even when we found a video on it, it only went over the basic stuff.
Yeah, not even the more advanced rule set. So
we were still very confused, and honestly at this point, as we continue playing it, I'm generally just not going to choose that option because I didn't see that as fun.
Yeah.
So I, again, don't want to spoil things, so I'm not going to go into it. There are also some accessibility issues, small text, small icons, obviously mobility challenges because there's a lot of cards and a lot of books. And again, anyone with severe vision issue will just basically not be able to play without having someone outside the game be their eyes for them. So that's generally it. Okay, who is this for?
I think that if for the lowest player experience, as long as you had one person who was either familiar with the game or experienced enough, they could pretty much run this with anybody.
Yeah.
Otherwise, even casual gamers, I think, would be fine with this game.
I
it's
think
just a lot of work
right.
that they might not appreciate.
Yeah, I think from out of the box without having anybody familiar with it, it's generally going to be more intermediate and above. But like you said, and I agree, if you basically have a game master running this thing and helping with all the rules and all the nuances, what you do in the game is really straightforward and can be a lot of fun. I don't know about kids, especially young. I mean, I would say maybe teenagers at least, for the comprehension of what you're doing.
I don't know. I think even kids would grasp the whole concept. Okay, you're here.
What do you
and they're
wanna
like,
do?
okay. And like, do you want to move in there? Do you want to look in there, engage, help,
Yeah.
take? What do you want to do? I'm like, I want to fight. I'm like, okay, let's overpower. What's the card number? And they'll say, give you the number. You tell them, roll some dice, and see what happens.
That's true. That is true. I think with enough, I guess it would take a lot of hand holding.
Yeah.
Also take our opinion with a grain of salt since we don't have kids. So
I just act like one.
that's another story. Okay, let's go over our ratings.
All right, for our ratings, we each have 1d6 worth of ratings to give. 1 is low, 6 is high. We give a number, a reason why, add them together, and see what it roll for us. Sarah, what did Vantage roll for you?
Okay, so we played the first 2 games with the books, and then we found out about the web app, and then we played a 3rd game with it. That web app changed my rating.
Dun, dun, dun.
I was going to give this a 4.
Dun, dun,
Because
dun.
of how we play, with his vision so severe, I definitely would never be able to hand a 2-player game with the 2 of us. But even as a solo, this is overwhelming. But that made it so much better that I'm giving it a 5. Because I really enjoy what you do in the game. Again, the rules are slightly confusing, which is again why I can't give it a higher score. Maybe as we use the web app more and maybe look through the rules there and see if maybe they added more information, because they do have an FAQ and everything linked. But generally, I really enjoyed what we did in the game and all the exploration, just all the bookkeeping, because I'm the only set of eyes here. That just was overwhelming. But the app made it a lot better.
For me, I think what impressed me most was the design. That's why I'm giving it a 6.
Wow.
I have run across many narrative games that say, oh, we're doing something great and different, and it's this, that, and the other. Most of that falls by the wayside because they all end up doing the same thing. Vantage says, we're doing something different. We're doing this, that, and the other. And it does feel completely different.
It does. It really does.
And so this is the type of game that I feel pushes what's being made in the narrative game space in a very different and very refreshing direction. And so I definitely feel that it stands out compared to its peers.
Oh, I 100% agree. And again, this is just for me. Because of the state of the rules and how everything has to be managed, I just personally can't give it a 6. But
yeah, you're overburdened by what the game still demands.
Right.
But as far as the design goes, I think this is a very refreshing narrative game.
Agreed. So obviously, we highly recommend this at 11 out of 12. Like I said, the only thing that could be improved is a few of the minor accessibility issues and the rules. And then you really have a 12 out of 12 game.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Unfortunately, Sarah was like, man, is it weird to say that I wish this was just an app?
Yeah, this is one of those experiences, which is why we've had, we love the idea of a narrative exploration game, but because of how much work it is to do it physically on the table, and because we play so many video games, there's a lot of times I keep going back of I wonder if they're going to implement this on Board Game Arena, or because it's Stonemaier and they don't really do Board Game Arena much anymore, put it out on it as a app on Steam.
Yeah, because they have done apps for some of their
Right.
games.
Well, we've done Wingspan on it. Honestly, if Vantage came out on Steam, I would probably buy it, and I would probably raise my score to a 6 because the computer would handle all of it. Handle so much that just makes it too much for me to handle, and also clarify the rules. Because the great thing about the computer is it enforces the rules.
Yes, so it knows how to play.
Right, it knows how to play. So any questions we have don't become questions because the game says, no, you can't do that, or whatever it is. So that's why, yes, there are some games where I'm like, man, I wish this was just a digital implementation. I'd enjoy it so much more. But there you go.
Yeah, but if you're willing to put in the work,
Yes.
this game has everything in the box.
Yep.
All right, Sarah.
Yes.
Now, I know you've been a bit squeamish about AI stuff, but if this game did come out for something like Steam, how would you feel if they added a narrator that was essentially a text-to-speech AI voice?
Well, I don't mind AI if it's used for, what's the word I'm looking for? For those kind of accessibility features, because like you have a screen reader and it's an AI voice.
Yes.
And you need that to interact with your computer.
Yes, but this is going to be for a purely entertainment.
Oh, because it would replace hiring a voice actor.
Yes, because there's just way too much here to actually hire anyone for realistically.
That's a tough one. I mean, this is still such a difficult topic, only because I don't like the idea of computers replacing people when a person could do it. Like, obviously, we can't hire someone to come live here to read your computer to you. So I get having an AI voice so that you can interact with your computer.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But when you start entering in the realm, well, I could hire somebody to read all these lines, or I could hire an artist to draw all this, or I could hire an animator to do this animation. That's where we're starting to get into blurry lines that I get uncomfortable with.
Okay.
Because again, if people don't work, how do we have an economy? I know it's got really serious.
Yeah. So-
It's just a game about Vantage.
So essentially, if Vantage came out on Steam
Yes.
and it didn't have any voice acting when you just, started up and played it,
Yeah.
but under the accessibility, it had a text-to-speech reader, that's where you'd be fine with it.
Yes, because the point would be to make it accessible to someone who can't see, but it would also need to be able to describe all the images. So it would
Right.
need to be more than just reading the challenge text.
And I think that's where the AI would have to come in,
Yes.
of recognizing what the image is and what the description
Well,
is.
they'd probably have to program a lot. I really feel like they would need to write descriptions detailed enough
Yeah.
that a person who can't see it would get enough information out
Some
of
extra
it.
tagged information
Right.
that gets brought up.
So
Interesting.
That's where I stand on it. When it's for accessibility, I'm okay with it. But if it's to replace paying somebody, I'm not okay with it.
Okay.
Okay, that was heavier than we expected.
So heavy. And we've been
Rolling with Reviews.
If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with Two, that's TWO. We're on Blue Sky, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Discord, we have a channel on Tabletop Express. Check the show notes for the invite link.
If you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you, because remember, he's rolling with you.